Well, welcome to Greek recording number 2, part B. We've just introduced the alphabet and noticed how many letters we already recognized, and we practiced drawing them. Now let's take a look. Sometimes two vowels will make one sound together. Different textbooks will arrange these in different orders. This is the order I've always found the most handy. The two letters, the two vowels, come together with each other like that, and they make essentially one sound. Now what we'll notice is two of these make essentially the same sound as each other. But let's try to make these diphthongs. The first one, I, right? Alpha and iota. What sound will that make? It'll say I. There's I, like an aisle. The next one, A, like in the number 8. The third one, well, in some parts of the English-speaking word, oi, like in oil. Other places, oil and foil and coil are not pronounced that way, but this makes an oi sound, oi. And then we, see the we. So we have I, a, oi, we, and then we have ow, you, and the next one is much more rare. You sounds about the same. And the one with the eta is not nearly as common. You really can count on basically not seeing it. The last one is oo, like in soup. All right, here's another combination of letters we want to be aware of. A gamma together with another gamma will make an ng sound, like an angle. The Greek word angelos is spelled, here let's try writing it. It's spelled this way: alpha, gamma, gamma, epsilon, lambda, omicron, sigma. Angelos. And I put in some things. One is called a breathing, this first little character, and the second one is an accent. Let's take a look at these accents. Make that a little bigger because I know some people watch in small windows. All right, Greek has 3 different accents. For now, all we do is if we see an accent, we put a stress on that syllable. Later on there are some rules, and actually they're kind of dodgy rules, about which accent you use where. The accent sometimes moves around to a different place on a word. We'll deal with that all later. One of the accents is called an acute accent. There it is typed over an alpha. And I drew it here a little bit bigger. You see the direction it goes. The grave accent goes the opposite direction. And the circumflex accent, you see it circum means around and flex means to bend. The circumflex kind of bends around. Now, a diphthong, remember the diphthong. 2 vowels together. If a diphthong is accented, the accent will go over the second letter of the diphthong. And you'll see that in practice in a bit. Now that other character we saw on the prior page is called a breathing. Now the breathing mark, well, there are 2 kinds. The breathing mark will show up on words beginning with vowels, or with diphthongs, or with the letter rho. And they may have a smooth breathing, such as this one in the word ant. Ant. A smooth breathing doesn't make any sound at all. There you go. The rough breathing, however, looks a little bit like the letter C, and it sounds like the letter H. At. Hat. Oh, there's the word hat. Good Greek word, huh? Now the letter rho, if it's at the beginning of a word, will have a rough breathing, and that's where we get spellings of words like rhythm and rhinoceros. Rhythm and rhinoceros. All right, well, now the thing we should do is practice making, now this is what we do a lot of in class. We'll practice making some English words using Greek letters. Make a text box kind of big here, and I'll change my keyboard to Greek. And let's just try a few, like this one. We can look at it. We can make the sounds. A, t, I, k. And we can say, oh, attic. Let's try another, like this one. Let's make some of those sounds. It's a delta, epsilon, d, e, sigma, kappa, desk. All right, you see how this works? We practice this a lot in class. Let's try this one. We've got to get used to some of these letters that we're not as comfortable with, like that one, L, A, lamp. Oh, well, it makes more sense if I type it in English characters. See how we can do this? We can make all sorts of common English type things like this. Try making those sounds. There's a P, E, S, I, L, O. Yes. So you see, we practice this a great deal in classes. I would encourage you just take some time coming up with some words, spell some English words using Greek characters. I'm going to jump quickly to my idea of a logbook here. And this is something I strongly recommend, is as you're learning a language, any language, keep some sort of a logbook. Mine is usually on a legal pad. Some people like a spiral notebook, or to get a blank book of some sort that they use. And what you do in your logbook is you write down everything you're needing to learn. So for instance, in today's lesson, you met the alphabet. So in your logbook, write the alphabet across a line. And maybe any of those letters that you're not sure what sound they make, as you look them up, write that letter. You know, remember the third letter here is a gamma, and you could write its name, gamma, and that it makes a G sound. You'd write that out in your logbook. And then write down your list of diphthongs and the accents and the breathings, and maybe a few words to practice with. Well, what do you do then with your logbook? Once you've written things in it, then when you go to study some the next day, you read over what you've done. And you make sure that you're still remembering it. Whatever you feel a little unsure about, maybe write it over again. Certainly when you're reading it, read aloud. Always make the sounds. As you read, do make the sounds. Say it and review things. What do you work with in your logbook again? Anything that's new or anything that you need to look up. Within a few more lessons you'll have some vocabulary words, and maybe you forget what the word angelos means, and so you look it up in your dictionary and you write down in your logbook angelos, and that it means angel or messenger. And while you're writing that down, you say it, you read it, you review it, you stop, you scratch your head for a moment, and then the next day you read it again, and eventually you'll start remembering everything. Or possibly as time goes on, you'll meet more grammar, and there may be some things that you don't identify immediately. Again, if you have to look it up, or if you have to stop and think about it very much, then what you do is you write it down in your logbook. And every day when you study, you start reading your logbook, the material from a couple of days earlier. And at the end of your study session, read over the material that you've put in there that day. And you know what? As time goes on, you'll have to look up less and less. I'd like to refer you to a useful website. I better put the address of that website up here, and that is www.academic-bible.com. At that location you can find, why didn't it go in there? I don't know. It probably got tucked behind something else. Let's type this again. There we go, and we will, keep it there. At that location you can get relatively recent versions of the Greek New Testament, of the Septuagint, a Greek translation of the Old Testament, Hebrew Bible, all kinds of things. What I've pulled off of there for display here is the opening several verses of the Gospel according to St. John. I'll make it a little smaller so it'll all fit on the screen as much as I gave you. And here's my recommendation. Spend some time practicing making the sounds. You see the breathings, you see the accents, you see the letters, and just try to make all of the different sounds. Say the words and practice reading them. Read once, go back and read again. So you work out the first word, N, and then you work out the second word, R-K, and then go back and read the first two words again, N, R-K. Then work on the third word, Ain, and go back, N, R-K, Ain, and you will gradually work your way through a whole lot of text, be able to read and make the sounds. The more you make the sounds, the better it'll work for you. Once again, of course, we do much more practicing in my live classes at the Potter's School. I'd invite you to check out anything that we've got going there. You can do it. Keep working with the Greek. Have a great day.